mid-1960s, there was a perception in the library community that no institutions were collecting the material that was being produced as part of the mimeograph revolution, which was a predominantly literary movement, but which also had a ripple effect into all sort of creative and experimental areas. And librarians at UCL realised that no one was collecting this material and decided to establish a collection. The collections were established at UCL by the Deputy Librarian Ian Angus and the English librarian Geoffrey Saw. And they were very innovative in their collecting processes at the time and set out to create a collection of all the little magazines that were written in English and produced across the Commonwealth. They collected a huge body of material from particularly the UK and North America, but also other countries that were producing small and new English language poetry magazines and literary journals. So countries, for example, including African Commonwealth countries, India, Australia, and other European locations as well. Because librarians at UCL had the insight to collect this material when it was being published in the mid-1960s and throughout the 1970s, they managed to collect lots of what has subsequently become incredibly rare and difficult to acquire since. And because of this, we have very full holdings of material that no other institutions have.
So the small press collections are used by a wide range of people. We have a lot of researchers from all over the world visiting the small press collections at UCL because they are so significant, not just in the UK, but internationally. We also have artists, poets who use the small press collections as a source of inspiration. We have printers and people working within the small press industry, learning from our collections and interacting with them. Overall, we have around 100 people visiting every year to see items from the small press collections in one of our reading rooms, and they're one of our most heavily used collections.
The small press collection has been a very important resource in my teaching and in my research. It is a fundamental collection, one of the richest that I've seen, and it has such a wide variety across the whole of 20th century, which is the focus of my research. So I feel very privileged to teach and research with small press collections. There's something very beautiful and productive about teaching in an archival setting. Students who go into the archive at the small press collections get to experience what it's like to excavate the archive firsthand before they then go on and develop their own research projects as part of their dissertation. Be fully present in that moment of engaging with those objects, of touching them, of opening them, and understanding them and see them as objects proper.
We're running a busy program of activities, evening events. We have a small exhibition that's currently on display at Senate House Library. And we are also running for the first time our Small Press in Residence program, which is an opportunity for a small press to come to UCL, use our collections, be inspired by the small press collections, and then use the fantastic printing facilities at the Slade School of Fine Art to produce a publication of their own in response to their engagement with the collections, and also to curate a program of activities for the community at UCL and beyond.
I'm Andrew Whiteman. I'm a PhD student from Concordia University of Montreal, and I was awarded this year's Liberating the Collections Fellowship. I am working with specifically sonic materials, so I work with vinyl, cassettes. I'm interested in finding things that have not been digitized and that are not available on the net, and that therefore are specific to the UC Special Collections.
Clover and daisies. Clover and daisies and alfalfa. Clover and daisies, alfalfa, and Queen Anne's lace hegemony.
I'm going to take material that I discover researching in the small press archive, sonic material. I'm going to take it home to Montreal. I'm going to put it in my computer. I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to actually make a record with a lathe cutter, make 10 copies of a vinyl record of what I make. And then I'm going to bring it back and do a performance where I return what I took.
I'm Rory Cook, and I edit a small press called Monitor. Monitor was founded in 2019, and it emerged from a series of live events in Manchester. And since then, we've been publishing mostly short form, publications of poetry, experimental writing, and we like to spend a long time developing and designing the objects and incorporating different bookmaking craft. As the publisher of Monitor, I'm doing a residency here at UCL Special Collections, and we're going to be looking at different materials from the collections over the next few months in order to develop a new publication which responds to some of the amazing work in the collection. It's also a collaboration between the Special Collections and the Slade. We'll be utilising the book art facilities here at the Slade to make the publication. The small presses we're looking at in the research, kind of radical small presses whose work isn't necessarily widely known, and they use quite sort of lo-fi DIY techniques often, as well as more kind of established print techniques like screen printing or letterpress or risograph. It's a great opportunity for Monitor to be looking at these collections, to be working with the curatorial staff here. The collection is exceptional. There aren't many collections like this anywhere that have such a breadth of small press material. And it's also really exciting because at the end, the publication that we produce as part of the residency will be acquired by the collection, so there's quite nice sort of circularity to the project.
We use the small press collections across both of our campuses at Bloomsbury and at UCL East. And they're really fundamental, I think, to creative practice in lots of different ways. We have a really strong relationship with the Slade School of Art, and the students there use the different formats of the small press collections to explore kind of creative print histories and ways that can be represented in their own artwork and their projects, which I think is really interesting. Everything at UCL East is very much new and developing at the moment. All of the courses there are very interdisciplinary, and we're really using our collections in new and imaginative ways. So I've been working a lot with public history students to investigate small press in lots of different ways. They've created Wikipedia pages about small press titles, and this year I was leading a project with them where public history students were looking at networks of African small press publishers and writers, so exploring that wider context of those collections.
The collections are being added to today, so we're still buying little magazines and other literary and visual art magazines to add to the collections, and we're also buying non-serial publications to add to the poetry store. And we are looking to acquire material that speaks to the original strengths of the collections, so things like visual poetry, concrete poetry, performance scores. All of those areas are things that we're very keen to develop the collections